All right, I'm recording. So let's see. Tommy's there. Let me go grab my rosters real quick and make sure I got everybody on there. See who's going to be coming in.
Only one that's so far connected. I'm just saying, that's a.
We had more with me the other day.
That's what I thought.
Oh, I did too.
Water was here.
But the email he sent out said it was mandatory, whether in class or online, you had to either do class or to hang out.
I hope you remember that we changed class times.
Huh?
I hope you remember that we changed class times.
He did. The email said 10 o'clock.
Yeah, I know Miller did because I asked him in my last class. There he is.
Here I am. All right. Just Tommy on that one.
I'm saying, if that's
Sean,
all
Patrick.
the people, that's a small class.
Zach. Yeah, it is. 5 of you seated.
Well, if there's only one online, it's a small one-line class.
No, there's 8 online. They just didn't. Ron was gonna come in here, but he gotta go get his classes. There's 8 online, but they are not required to log in here. Just required to watch the video. There's Porter. Okay.
Okay, Kristen wanted to tell me that her internet screwed up.
Okay.
So she wasn't
That's fine.
getting out or something.
Okay. Just tell her to watch the video. All right. Has everybody heard my spiel on how the semester is going to work if you're signed into one of my hybrid and online classes? You have
No.
Porter, have you been in it yet?
No.
I can only assume this the same as it usually be.
You're going to have a requirement to watch videos or of what we talk about, or come virtually or seated if you choose to, depending on what we're doing. Okay. The other thing that we talk about is that you guys will have access to a virtual computer lab that we're working out the details. So to start off with, we're not going to install any virtual machines. I'm going to work out those details and then we'll get started on that. And in the meantime, you guys will do some weekly chapter homework stuff. So sound familiar from when you were in my last Linux class? Yeah? Okay. So that's how things are going to go. So since we're not going to, most of you have heard this at least once already. I'm not going to go into it again. There are a couple links on here that you need to know about. The online meeting link, if you're meeting virtually. If you're an online student, you need to do the introductory assignment. DreamSpark is the website that we use to get free software. If you've had access in last semester for Windows 7, you still have access. You still use the same username and password. If you don't have access and you want it, send me an email and say, Mr. Miller, I need access to DreamSpark. Simple as that. I'll set you up in the system or renew it if you've already been set up, and the system will send you an email saying this is how you enter the web store. And once that's set up and you click on DreamSpark right here, it will open up like this. You'll log in, and then it's basically a store where you can get stuff for free. You'll go through a checkout process, but it'll be $0, and that's where you'll get your access code for the program that you're using. For those of you that have or will be taking CTS 285, which is systems analysis, which is all of you, if you haven't had it already,
Already done it.
you'll need
Not doing
project.
it again.
You'll need project, okay? Probably Visio as well. I have not dealt very much with the 2016 version, so I would probably, for anything of those, like Office Suite, I'll still be using the 2013 version.
Is that Windows 10 up there?
It is.
I just bought Windows 10.
Why?
You bought Windows 10?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right. Well, I was putting on a new computer.
Well, this is an education release, so it might not be the same release that you got. All right, if you needed it if you needed a professional being able to add it to a domain, things like that, you need to be aware, you know.
No,
So,
nope, it was just a standard one.
okay, so this is Windows 10 EDU, and if you want it, you can install it that way. What we'll be using in this course is Windows Server.
That's $120.
See what you get for not asking a question first? It's probably going to be under servers right there. So, again, we will be using Windows Server 2012 in this class, R2. We will look at and kind of do a beta test on Windows Server 2016, just because it's out. We won't spend a whole lot of time on it. You'll mainly be dealing with Windows Server 2012. And the reason for that is because the majority of the companies that you'll be working for after you graduate from here and get a real job is you're going to be dealing with Windows Server probably 2012, maybe as old as 2008. Hopefully just 2012. Okay? So that's why we're focused on that. And then when you get to the point where you need this, I'll show you how to work it. All right?
So that's basically the student edition of MSDN.
No, this is it's in coordination with our agreements with MSDN. This is our web store. It's just called DrinkSpark. Yeah. MSDN is for well, probably what you've dealt with to like set up a classroom or things like that. This is for individual use, not class-wide or campus-wide use.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. So let's see here. Still just Tommy. So just Tommy. All right, class prep activities, weekly homework assignments, same as before. You'll have something that you'll need to do before you come to class. I am not going to sit here and lecture you about what certain things do in Windows Server. It is a waste of time, all right? You will learn more, and I can tell you this from experience by having to teach myself Windows Server. You will learn more by doing it. You will learn more by getting into it, configuring it, messing it up, starting over again. You'll learn more that way. So that's what we're going to focus on in this course. Actual hands-on in Windows Server. All right. So class prep activities will be the things that you need to do before you come back to class, or if you're online, things you need to do in preparation for the next homework assignment. And then when you come back to class, we'll be doing the hands-on stuff here. As part of the class time, we'll actually log into the virtual machine running a server and make our configurations, go through some changes. And there's a lot. There's a whole lot more. I know a lot of you are probably very familiar with Windows 7, Windows 8, maybe even Windows 10. This is a whole new animal. Windows Server will manage thousands of computers running Windows 7, 8, or 10. Okay? As a Windows administrator, as an IT administrator, this will be your bread and butter. This will be where and if it's not, you're not doing it right. Because there are tools that make it simple. There are tools that make it quick and dirty. To where if you have to do something to 10 computers, you do it one time in Windows Server and it pushes it all out to 10 computers that you've chosen. All right? So that's why I focus more along the lines of the nuts and bolts, the meat and potatoes of Windows Server, because this is what you're going to use most often. We spend a lot of time on Active Directory. We spend a lot of time on group policy. We spend quite a bit of time on how all the different services within Windows Server work together to give you a management console, because that's what it is. Book. Anybody got the book on them? Book. Let me borrow yours, Patrick. This is what the book looks like. Administering Microsoft Windows Server 2012 R2, Exam 7411 by Greg Tomshow. Okay. If you've taken Windows 7 already, it's set up the exact same way. All right. It's got step-by-step processes. It's got things in there that you would walk through and go through. If you can rent a copy, you don't necessarily need the Cengage code. I'm not going to be using it for this class, so if you can find it cheaper from where you got it at the bookstore, if you want to rent it for 4 months, that's fine too. Okay, so it's up to you. The book will come with a disc of Windows Server 2012, but you don't have to have that. You can go to DreamSpark and get it for free. All right. Questions on any of that stuff? Huh? Book. Most of you don't like books.
They're expensive.
Most of you won't even touch a book. You just come to class and won't.
I like books, I just can't afford them.
Well, I'm trying to go either all ebooks or all free books.
Oh, really?
Free books.
Free
So
ebooks
if I
on
can
the
give you
net.
the resources that you need, I'm fine with that too.
I'll have the books, it just take me a week at a time.
Okay. All right, so let's get into it. Y'all want to find out some more about, let's see, where is it? Find out some more about Windows Server, what it's all about. Well, since we're doing mostly hands-on stuff, let's do it this way. I can get this thing to start from last time I taught it. It's not up there anymore. Okay, never mind. Probably got deleted in the interest of space. I'm limited to space on these computers. Imagine that, it's all up for me. Renew. Just haven't looked at it in a year, it's not gonna, took some of my stuff away. My tap reader, there we go. So what's, besides what I've already told you, what's the difference between Windows Server and Windows something OS, 7, 8, 10, whatever? What's the difference?
One's used on a server device that's used to connect to many computers, and the other one's just for the one computer itself. Or I could be wrong on that.
Well, it's you're on the right track. It's it's just like the course is our courses are called. NOS 130 is Windows single user, right? So it'll teach you how to deal with a Windows desktop, laptop, something that will usually be used for single use, one person at a time. Windows Server, what's this course called? That's not called Windows Server. It's called something else.
Windows administration.
Windows administration. So you'll be administering multiple versions of Windows. Okay. And if you guys remember from, who in here has already had Net 125? Probably all have. No, not all of you. All of you, yes. Okay. So I use the same scenario that we talk about in networking to talk about how a server runs. Okay, you guys remember how when you dealt with a router or a switch, it was the central hub of that network, and it provided pathways. Okay, the pathway as basically saying that it's the center. All right, so you were you in Net 125 already? No? Okay. Oh, you had Net 110? Okay, so if you remember from networking, so in net class, we talked about where you had topologies, right? Where this may have been a router 1, and then you may have had a star topology, right? And these were all PCs.
Yes.
And then, and then maybe this one connected out here to the internet. Sorry. Right. So the router controlled traffic. How we set up the logical connection to a server is a lot the same way. All right. And the difference between a logical connection and a physical connection is what? Who knows?
The way it actually looks.
The way it actually looks. Yes. So let's clear this guy off. And then, so if we're the physical might be something like this. Here's a cloud. Comes down in here, goes into a switch. Maybe it has a bunch of different connections on it, right? 24 port, something like that. And then my server might be here, server 1, and then might have a desktop 1, desktop 2, laptop 1, laptop 2, and then a tablet. Okay? That's the physical, right? But when it comes to administering computers, the actual logical setup looks a lot like what I just showed you as far as a star pattern. So in the middle here, I'm going to have a server, server 1, and then from that server, I'm going to have, here's desktop 1, desktop 2, laptop 1, laptop 2, and a tablet. Okay? And all of these are running some version of Windows. So the server 1 is Windows Server. Let's just say it's 2012. Desktops are Windows 7. Tablet, what's the Windows operating system?
Windows 8.1.
8.1 or 10, right? Surface Pros, whatever they are, okay? So the administration means that your management messages, not necessarily the physical location, not the physical connections to the server, but the way that it communicates goes through the server, okay? Because this one, the actual signals, if somebody's trying to log into tablet 1 right here, then their signal is going to go something like this. They're going to send off an authentication. Yeah, I'm not doing that right. Hold on. They're going to send off an authentication back to the server, and then they're going to get something back from the server saying it's done, right? But it's going to go through switch 1. That's your physical path. Your logical path is just like this, from tablet 1 back and forth from switch 1. So when you log into these computers here in these classrooms and you enter your username and password, it authenticates and checks itself against what's called Active Directory back at a server somewhere else on campus or somewhere else in your organization. That's the central repository. And we'll get into that quite a bit after we kind of knock out the introduction to server topics. Because especially coming out of an associate degree program and starting off as a junior systems admin or a junior IT administrator or something, help desk coordinator, something like that, where you'll be tasked most is Active Directory. And if they don't specifically tell you, go to Active Directory and check this, then that should be your first place to stop, especially when it's dealing with a computer, a person, a policy, access to something, whatever. All right? Questions on that?
Nope.
Are we gonna go Active Directory?
Yes, not today, but we will. Okay?
You make me feel like I'm at work.
Why? Do you get taught this at work?
Yep.
Or do you have to do it at work?
I do it and was taught it at work.
Okay. So you should please right on through this course then.
Right.
So yeah, as we go through these, we'll talk about how to deploy Windows Server, how to do update services, advanced file services, server monitoring. You can see it all right here. Talks about all these different chapters. Okay? Domain controller and Active Directory. That's actually chapter 7, so we got to do some setup before we get to that. But it won't take us too long. This is not a do a chapter a week type deal. Okay, because some of these items you'll go over fairly quickly. You'll be able to knock out pretty fast because it's more or less just getting accustomed to it. When we get the virtual computer lab up and running, you'll get a whole lot more usability when it comes to server. In previous semesters, when we built a virtual machine here on site, we weren't able to connect anything to it. We weren't able to create a domain and connect anything to it. So you had to press the I believe button every now and then, just to say, well, Mr. Miller said, and then I believe it. Okay. hopefully now with this new setup, you'll actually be able to, I'll be able to create a few desktops, and you'll be able to do some management techniques on the server itself, and then push those out to some desktops, okay, or some clients, so to speak. All right. No other questions? You just ready to get started? I gotta calibrate this thing again. All right, so in the coming weeks, when we come back Thursday, we're gonna dive into chapter 1, and then I'll assign chapter 1 homework. I'll give you some things to do after Thursday to be ready for the next class. So walking away from today, you don't have to do anything except come back or watch the video. If you're in the seated section, come here. If you're online, watch the video after it's over and get introduced to a lot more in detail to Windows Server. Okay? Questions? I'm done. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Miller, you said for OS 120, you really need a virtual machine? Guess I'm like